a very good evening to you all, and welcome for making this time to come and sit for an hour and listen to something that hopefully you'll find very interesting and empowering to you. I believe most of you already know who I am. This is not my first session that I'm doing with you guys, but if you do not know who I am Geleto, I am Sister K, and my surname is Yende. I'm firstly and foremost the daughter of the Most High God. I'm a mentor, I'm a pastor, I'm a theologian, I'm a speaker, and I am a self-published author of the book I Never Saw Her Eyes. And some of the other things that I am that give me a lot of joy in life is that I'm a wife to one husband, and I'm also a mother of two, a boy and a girl. So it's Women's Month. And it's all about you, ladies. We are celebrating the beautiful woman that you are. And again, just thank you so much for taking the time to celebrate yourself by empowering yourself. It shows that you value yourself, and you know that indeed you are loved, you are precious, and you matter. So I mentioned that you are celebrating yourself by empowering yourself. But what exactly do we mean when we're talking about women empowerment? One can define women empowerment as promoting a woman's sense of self-worth, promoting their ability to determine their own choices, giving them the platform to make their own choices, and giving them the right to influence social change for themselves and for others. So as you can see, empowerment is not only for your own benefit, but is also for the benefit of those who are around you. I've also got a nice Sister K definition for women empowerment, and I call it that it's learning and acquiring tools to do what you need to do in order to be successful in life. Isn't it just simple like that? You are empowered if you know what to do. So that's where the learning comes in. You acquire the knowledge to know what you do, but you don't stop there as well. You are either given the tools or you acquire the tools that empower or enable you to do what you need to do in order to be successful in life. That's my personal definition of women empowerment. And I hope that when you leave tonight, you will feel like you have learned and you have acquired something and you are well on your path to achieving success. If you've ever heard me talk, if you know me, if you know anything about me, you know that I cannot speak about success without speaking about identity and purpose. Because, I always say that you cannot claim to have been successful in life if you didn't achieve that which you were created to do. So, I strive to live purposefully every day of my life, and I encourage you to do so as well. And an interesting question that I always ask people is, do you know your purpose? Do you have a purpose statement or a vision statement that guides you every day? Mine personally is that I always say that my purpose is to inspire and to equip people to discover and embrace their true identity and purpose in order to live victorious lives. So that's what I do. I help you to know who you are, to embrace you, who you are, so that you can become the best version of yourself. So I was so excited when Jabu said, come and talk about values and character, how values build one's character, because I thought, wow, this is just right up my alley. Because when I talk about identity and purpose, one of the things that I do talk about is principles and values. You might have heard me talk before about ways in which to discover your identity and your purpose. And I simply put it, I say, you know who you are when you know who God says you are. You know what your purpose is when you know what God says your purpose is. And if you do not know, it's a simple one. Search the scriptures to see who God says you are and what your purpose and what he says your purpose is. And then if we all read the same Bible and we all search and find the same scriptures, it means we are all the same. Not quite. We are all the same because we are all members of the body of Christ. But even so, members of the body, different parts of the body are different and they are unique. So after you search the scriptures, how then do you know your unique self? And that's where I talk about the print, which is my identity and purpose framework. If you've read a copy of my book, you also know a little bit more about this. So what I am talking about today in the print is the principles and the values, which is the P in my print. For those who don't know you, I'll just give you a bonus and tell you what the print is about before I move straight into what we will be talking about today, which is the value of values. So the P in my print is for purpose, and your principles and your values, which is what we are focusing on, just that part of values. And then the R in the print is for relations and experiences, your relationships that you have chosen, which is your friends, your mentors, your people you look up to, or relations in terms of the family that you are born into, and your experiences, everything that you have gone through in life. And then also the I in my print is for your interest, which is your interest and your passion. And the N is for natural abilities and gifts, and the T is temperament and personality. I'm sorry, I am just rushing over this, but I'm just mentioning it so that you understand what I mean when I said I was so excited when Ausjabu said, speak about values, because it is actually one of the key things that you need to know and understand in order for you to say, I know who I am and I understand my uniqueness as a woman. I am empowered because I know what makes me unique. I am empowered because I know who I am and what I have been created to do. So I titled the talk for today, The Value of Values. Unleash your hidden superpower. You know, I was so excited to actually see that knowing your values can be so empowering, and it's actually one of your superpowers that you have in life to make it even when things are tough. Wonder Woman has nothing on you when you know your values. Superman, so what do I mean when I'm saying the value of values? So the first word in the title is value. What do I mean by value? A value of something is the regard in which you hold something. It is its importance, or you can describe it as its worth. Is it useful or not? That's what we mean when we talk about value. When you value something, you consider it. It can be a something or a someone, but you consider it either to be important or beneficial, and you have a high opinion of it. So I'm still defining just the first value in my title. So, put simply, what is value? Value is an estimate of worth. That is what we mean when you value something or when you're trying to determine something. So instead of me saying the title for my message today is the value of values, if you understand value, then I could say today I'm talking about the worth of values. So what is the worth of values? How valuable are values? That's exactly what we are talking about today. So the next values, then I've defined value and I said it's worth. So what is values? What are these values that we are talking about this evening? Well, values, put simply, They are basic and fundamental beliefs. It's what you believe in and what you value that guides you or that motivates your actions or your attitudes towards certain things. That is what a value is. It's something that you hold in high regard. I hope you are seeing what I did there with the title, The Value of Values. And then in the definition of values, I'm saying that a value is something that you hold and esteem that motivates and guides you into certain beliefs, attitudes, or actions. Values help us to determine what is important to us. If you don't know your values, then it's very difficult to answer that question, what is important to you? And values, I also like this definition that says it's like it's like a line in the sand. You know, when a person says, I'm drawing this line and you cannot come over this line, there it's values that lets you know what you are willing to accept and what you are not willing to accept. So that those are values, the thing, that line that you draw and you say, Mona, I don't accept this. Nobody comes past this line in terms of how they treat me or in terms of how they speak to me. So values also guide how we act and conduct ourselves. So that's what values are. They are the things that are important to you. They are the things that motivate and guide your decisions and your behaviors so that you can make the right choices in lives. So let me just repeat the definition again so that you get it. Your values are the things that you believe are important in how you conduct and you live your life. They determine your priorities. If you know what your values are, you know what's important. They help you to determine your priorities and they help you to make decisions. Roy E. Disney says that it's not hard to make decisions once you know what your values are. So when I meet a person who's indecisive, if you ask them a question, they can never say yes or no. It's yes 1 minute and it's no the next minute. One of the things that tells me about that person is that they have not yet clearly defined what their core values are. Because when you are a person that knows their core values, you are able to make decisions because you know that whatever decision you make will be based on what you esteem and what you value. You know, as I was preparing this earlier on, I was just actually thinking of how fortunate you guys are to be hearing such messages in your tender age. Oh no, when we were growing up, we were that gang that was just told, don't do this or do that. But we never got that experience of being sat down and being told why you shouldn't do this or why you should do that. So I was reflecting to say, if I had had a teaching about values in my teens or as a young woman in my 20s, I am sure I would have made different decisions about certain things and certain decisions that I made about my life. You know, I was thinking, you know, when God says do this and don't do that, we sometimes see it as restrictions or punishment, but it's actually for our own good. I was thinking and I was reflecting on my own life as an example, and I was saying, yo, you know, if I had valued faithfulness as an example from a young age, and if it had been a value that I carried even into my romantic relationships, I probably would have made better decisions because I was that person also pang in relationships. And when I say values God gives us values for our own good. I was thinking now as an adult, some of those things that you did a long time ago when you were young, the wrong decisions that you made, the enemy comes and he reminds you, you know, like when I first became a pastor, the devil was like, when pastor, yo, do these people know you, you know? So the devil will try to deceive you like that and remind you who you used to, because he will just remind you of how bad you were in your previous life. But we know that once God has forgiven you, then you become a new creation. But hey, that does not erase the memories. So actually making the right choices in life, it's just so that you can have a clear conscience and have nothing that you are embarrassed about. If people find out who I'm a pastor now, what if all those people that I cheated on, as an example, they come back? What if those people come back? You know? But if you had been a person of value who upholds values, then you would have been a woman of character, a woman of good character. You see, now I'm getting into the relationship of values and characters. If you know what your values are and you uphold them and you exercise them consistently, that is what builds a good character. How do you know you have a good character? You know you have a good character when the things that you say and the things that you do and how you behave, they are coherent. It's when your character and your words and your deeds and your actions, they are integrated. You are a person of character when you say when you do what you say and you say what you do, and there is no difference between what you are saying and what you do. It's an important thing. Then you know you are a young woman with character. You don't say something and do something different. You don't make promises and break promises. When you are a woman of character, when you are willing to sacrifice for your principles and for your values. Character simply is integrity. You are one with yourself. You are not a hypocrite. You don't say one thing and go and do the other thing. So you also know that you have a good character when you do the right thing for the right reason. You know, sometimes we do the right thing, but if we were to be honest about the motives on why we are doing those things, we would see that we are not doing them for the right reasons. When you do this, you are not yet a woman of good character. I hope you guys are following me. So values help you to do the right things for the right reasons. And when you do that and you consistently do that, then you know you are a woman of good character. You are a woman of character when you have a commitment to your values without compromise. When let me make you a practical example. I'll take myself as a married woman as an example. If my value is that I hold my marriage in high regard, so my family and my marriage is my value, then it means that I would have developed my character if I am able to keep to my marriage vows. You understand? So that's the relationship. So it's almost like the values are the things that you do consistently in order to become that woman of a good character. So when people describe my character, they will say I'm a faithful woman. And when you have a good character also, it is when you are able to impose discipline on yourself, self-imposed discipline for the sake of your moral convictions. So when you're a person of great character, you do not need to be policed. You don't need someone to come and check if you are doing the right things, because you know that if you want to do something that you wouldn't be proud for people to know that you have done. It's against your values, probably. So sometimes I say, if you are not sure in a situation what you need to do when you are alone, ask yourself this: will I be proud if everybody knew I did what I'm about to do? And if your answer is no, then you probably shouldn't be doing what you need to do, what you want to do in that moment. So I don't want you to get too consumed with the terminologies. I just want you to get the bottom line, which is that the way a person acts and treats others is impacted by what that person values. It's impacted by their core values. Other people also say that your core values are your character traits. So there's a very close relationship between character and values. So we're talking about the value of values, unleashing your superpower. You cannot unleash something that you do not know, right? So how do you find your values? How do you know that me, this is my value? I see your names there, Kekeletso. How do you know me as Kekeletso? These are my values. Kamogelo, Kirsty, all of you that are listening, let me talk you through that quickly before I open up the platform for us to engage. I always like to teach and also give people practical things. So it's no use that you sit here and you listen for an hour and you leave and you don't know what to do. So how do you find out or determine what your own values are? And I use the word own intentionally, because your values should not be imposed by others. They should be intrinsic. It's part of who you are, it's part of your build up. So you will fail and you will not be a woman of good character if you try to take on values that you think are the right ones. So you need to have values that almost like flow out of you naturally, if I can call it that. So I'm going to give you a few questions that you need to ask yourself in order to determine what your values are. So there's a lot of values. You can go and Google list of values, and they will come list. There'll be PDF documents. Go and do that and look at all those values. And what I want you to do is to choose 10 that you think they resonate with you, 10 that you think are things that you hold in high regard. I'm going to use the Sister K Foundation as an example of what possible values you are going to find. Our value, we say it's embodied in the word sister, because we value sisterhood. You know, sisterhood is the benefit of having a sincere relationship with women around you who love you and who accept you, but they are constantly inspiring you to reach your full potential. Or some can say a sisterhood, it's the gift of sharing love, and it's a source of inspiration. It's an opportunity to lift as you rise and create a legacy. So we, in our sisterhood of the Sister K Foundation, we embody the value of sister. So when I say our value is sister, then I mean S is for sincerity. What I mean by that is that we, as the sisters who belong to the sisterhood of Sister K, we uphold sincerity. And what we mean by that is that we say what we mean and we mean what we say. We are not about pretending. We do not pretend. We are just vulnerable and we are sincere when we are with each other. And then the I in sister, it's for inspiration or inspiring. We value inspiration because we inspire each other to maximize our full potential. So when we are in a sisterhood, it's not all about me, but it's also about inspiring each other. And then in sister, the serving. That's a value. We value using our gifts to serve our generation. That's something that we value in our sisterhood. And then the T in sister is thankfulness. We embrace an attitude of gratitude. We always look for something that we can be thankful for, and we are thankful about each other. And then E is empowering. I spoke about empowerment when I started. It's a value that we uphold. We use our gifts to build each other up. That's why we are in the sisterhood. And the R, which is the last letter of sister, it's for respectful. We are respectful in how we engage and relate with one another. We accept each other as we are, and we value each other for who we are. And because we value each other, we are able to treat each other with respect. So those are examples of the values that you will find when you go and search on the internet. So you're going to find a long list. How do you know which ones are yours? That's the first step. Choose 10. Start with 10. Core values shouldn't be too many. You should have 3, at the most have 5. So start with 10 that resonate with you. I can share a list with Ausjabu after the session if some of you have challenges with searching for a list on Google. From that list, choose 10 that resonate with you. And then you must define them. What does this mean to me? What does it mean to me? If you choose it, you must define it. What does it mean to me? Just like I've done now with the values of sister. You see, I'm not teaching you something that I haven't done. You must define it. What does it mean? Because actually, this is very important, because something about values is people will say, I value sincerity, but they don't even understand what sincerity is, and they haven't defined it and written it in a verb form. The power of values for me is when you are able to turn them into an actionable item. So like when I said our S is for sincerity, and I said we say what we mean and we mean what we say, no pretense. So you need to get to that level of understanding of a value to say, if sincerity is my value, then it means I'm an honest person. I say what I mean and I mean what I say, and I never pretend. That's how you should be if you value sincerity. So in any situation, you must think when you make a decision, is what I'm saying, do I mean it? Am I pretending? And if it's your value and you are honest and you really hold it in high regard, you will not lie. You will not pretend, because you value sincerity. So choose a list out of a 10. Out of a list, choose 10. Define what those are. And then ask yourself the following question from the 10. The first question is, would you sacrifice these for money? It's a question. So if we use faithfulness, you say, now my value is faithfulness. So ask yourself, if somebody offered me $1 million to betray someone I love, would I consider dropping the value? Some of you, your answer is yes, be honest. So that's already telling you this faithfulness is probably not one of your core values. But anyway, so all of the questions, ask yourself, would I sacrifice any of these for money? And then ask yourself, have I lost this value during stress? So in a situation where I'm stressed, have I ever dropped one of this or acted in a contradictory way to this value? And then ask yourself, 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, or 40 years from now, do I think that this value will still hold true for me? And then the last question is, ask yourself this: would you stop if they became a competitive disadvantage? So in other words, you go for an interview or you are working somewhere and they ask you to lie. And let's say you said honesty is your value. So if you are going to forfeit a bonus or a promotion because you will not lie, would you drop your value and start lying because of the benefit? So that's another question that you must ask yourself. Would you stop if this became a competitive disadvantage? Because Sister Kamuka next door, she's willing to lie and she's going to get the prize. So if it makes me a weaker competitor, will I drop this thing or not? So those are some of the questions that I want you to ask yourself from that list of 10. Anyone where you answer yes, it's not a core value. So if you answer these questions sincerely and truly, you will end up with a list of 6 or 5 or 3 values. And that's how you know that really, really, I value my spirituality, as an example. So that's the first method that you should use or you can use in order to determine what your personal values are. And you see that I went through that exercise when we determined the value of the Sister K Foundation. So do that same thing. What is the value? What does it mean? And then ask yourself, can I trade it for money? I said sisterhood is valuable to me. I left my 7-figure corporate job to pursue empowering women. So obviously, I will not sacrifice it for money. So it is one of my core values, empowerment of sisters. As an example. So just quickly, the second method, I'm going to talk through it very quickly because I see that my time is not on my side and I want to stick to time. You know, when you've been invited, you want to stick to time so that you can get re-invited. So that you can let me stop joking, I'm wasting time. So the second method that you can use to determine your values is think about the 7 key areas in your life. Now, I'm going to tell you what the 7 key areas in your life are. If you've heard me talk about spirituality, you remember I always say you are a spirit that has a soul that lives in a physical body. So actually, those are the first 3 key areas of your life: your spirituality, or your spirit man, or your faith, whichever way you want to put it, your mental sphere, where you have your ideas, your mind, where you have your innovation. That's an area of your life that you must think of. And then your physical body, health, and well-being could very well be a value. So as you think about every area, think about one value in each area that you hold the highest. So if we look about spiritual, I could say I value my relationship with God or my spirituality. If I say mental, I could say I value learning because, woo, Sister K, shame, she's a student. Even now, I'm still studying. If we say physical, somebody could say health is their value because Kibao Bajimam 5 days a week and they eat clean and whatnot. It will differ for all of us. As long as I'm healthy, Mara, I'm not that extreme. So spiritual, mental, physical. Vocational is the 4th area. So the 4th area speaks, vocational speaks to your career and your business. What's the key value that you think drives your career or your business? And then the 5th one is finances. What's your value there? Do you value working and building your life around just getting more money, or making your money work for you? What determines how you spend your money? You need a value to guide your financial pillar because it's gonna help you make those kind of decisions. How do I spend money? How much time do I spend on making money? And then the 6th one is family. I hope you're taking notes. And the 6th one is family. And the 7th one is social. And that's about relationships and making a difference in people's lives. Making a difference in people's life, which is giving or serving, could be one of the values that that you say it's your core value when it relates to social. So think about those 7 areas and think in each area, what is the value that I uphold the most? And then remember, any area of your life that is not empowered, in any area of your life where you are not empowered, you will be overpowered. So you cannot be a physically fit person that runs marathons and eats protein and greens and drinks water, but in the spirit, every morning, ibona waiting a playground. So these 7 areas are actually quite important for you to pay attention to in your life. And your values is what's going to help you to consistently develop in those 7 areas. So that is the second method that I am sharing that you can implement to check what your core values are. So I'm gonna stop there. I have a third method, but if you can do the first method and the second method, you are well on your way to know what your core values are. So that's really the gist of what I wanted to say to you today, is that having core values is critical if you want to achieve true success and satisfaction in life, because you will be satisfied when you are true and you are honest to what you value. And when you know your values, that's how you will align to your priorities, and you will be motivated from the inside to do the things that you need to do. More importantly, you will be a woman of character as you consistently apply your values in every situation. And that's a very important thing. I mean, I was thinking, as an example, if you value family as a young person and you say, oh, now I value family, I value my parents and my siblings, the vibe at home, it's important to me. So when a friend or whatever invites you to somewhere, a party maybe, and your parent says no, sure, you're like, okay, this person is saying no. So if they suggest to you that you go, even if your parent has said no, which values are you going to violate by going? You violate the value of integrity and honesty, if that's your value. If it's not, it's not. I'm not here to judge. I'm just teaching you the value of value so that you know how important values are. And then you are also violating your value of family, because you are saying, I haven't no kwata forever. Isn't that what young people say? They will not be angry forever. Maybe if they find out, they will give me a lightanya sentence. Maybe they'll change my curfew, or I'll be grounded, or they'll take my cell phone for a day, but they'll get over it and things will get normal. But how many values did you violate by that decision? And now, are you a woman of character or not? And when you are not a woman of character, you cannot be trusted.